In the beginning of the story, a boy named Hibiki is running for his life through an empty valley. Right behind him is a strange creature that looks like a rabbit with a horn on its head. Hibiki has absolutely no idea how he ended up there or why that monster is chasing him. Everything feels completely random and terrifying to him. While running, he looks back at the creature and wonders what kind of monster it is. Suddenly, he hears a soft female voice in his head. The voice calmly tells him that the creature is a level 1 horned rabbit. Hibiki gets even more confused because now, on top of being chased by a monster, he is suddenly hearing a mysterious girl's voice too. He quickly tells the voice not to disappear because he is already scared enough. A moment later, the horned rabbit jumps straight at him. Hibiki panics and dodges at the last second. By pure luck, he ends up falling right on top of the rabbit and crushes it to death. Meanwhile, somewhere deep inside a forest, an elf girl is moving through the trees. As she walks, she hears an unknown male voice guiding her. The voice tells her to keep heading east because something very precious is waiting for her there. Back with Hibiki, he is relieved that he survived the attack, but he still has no clue where he is. He takes out his phone and checks for signal, hoping he can call someone for help. But there is no signal at all. That completely destroys his last bit of hope. Hibiki starts thinking that maybe the strange female voice is not real and he is just imagining things because of stress. After a while, he begins to feel hungry. He looks down at the dead horned rabbit and thinks about eating it, but quickly changes his mind because he has no idea whether it is safe or poisonous. At that moment, the voice suddenly speaks again. She tells him that horned rabbit meat is actually considered a graded delicacy and tastes especially good in stew. Hearing that, Hibiki decides to carry the rabbit with him for now, even though he still feels uncomfortable about it. As he keeps walking, he starts paying more attention to the voice. Soon he notices that she only responds when he asks a question, so he starts testing her. He asks about random objects around him, including his backpack. The voice immediately explains that his backpack is made from materials that do not exist in this world. Hibiki keeps asking about different things, and every single time the voice gives him a perfect explanation. That is when he realizes the voice can identify almost anything. So next, he decides to ask about himself. The moment he does, a screen suddenly appears in front of him. It shows all of his personal information and stats. Hibiki looks through it and notices that everything is correct, including his name and age. But then he sees something strange. Under job it says Appraiser Provisional. Hibiki has no idea what that means because until now, he was just an ordinary high school student. He then asks the voice who she is. The voice replies that she is his status support. However, she also says she cannot reveal any personal information about herself. Hibiki feels annoyed because that does not seem fair at all. Still, his mood improves a little when he sees that there are many different skills he can unlock. One skill called Expert catches his attention, so he tries to activate it immediately, but nothing happens. After that, he decides to start the tutorial instead, because that seems easier to understand. However, the voice tells him that the tutorial is already running. Hibiki becomes even more confused because he has no idea what that is supposed to mean. Since he cannot figure it out, he moves on and tries another skill called World Map. A holographic display appears in front of him. At first Hibiki thinks it is a map of the world, but after looking more closely, he realizes it is only showing the path he has already walked. That is when he discovers that he has been going in circles the entire time. After understanding that, he starts using the map properly and continues moving forward. By the time the sun starts going down, Hibiki finally spots a road below him. He gets so excited that he rushes forward without paying attention. But then he trips and falls face first onto the stone road. As soon as he gets back up, the voice suddenly announces that he has unlocked the title Castaway in a Nice Sky. Hibiki is completely confused by that title, but before he can think too much about it, something terrifying appears in front of him. A giant monster is standing right there. Hibiki freezes because he thinks this is the end for him. But then out of nowhere, a magical arrow flies through the air and kills the monster instantly. Hibiki turns around in shock. Standing on top of a nearby rock is a beautiful elf girl. Just before he talks to her, the voice activates a translation ability for him, allowing him to speak and understand the language of this world. After that, Hibiki thanks the girl for saving his life. The girl introduces herself as Amelia. Hibiki notices her pointed ears immediately and assumes she must be an elf. Because of that, he casually tells her that he likes her cosplay. Amelia has absolutely no idea what cosplay means. A moment later, she asks him what he was doing in the Maze Eater's grassland. Hibiki simply tells her that he suddenly appeared there out of nowhere. The moment Amelia hears that, she becomes completely shocked. The voice then uses appraisal on Amelia. The moment Hibiki sees the results, he is shocked because Amelia is not just someone wearing fake elf ears. She is a real elf. As he keeps looking through her information, he notices something even more surprising. Amelia is actually 56 years old. Hibiki cannot believe it at all because she looks much younger than that. After that, Amelia explains what the Maze Eater's grassland really is. She tells him that it is not actually a normal grassland. It is a giant monster. The monster disguises itself as a peaceful open field and waits for people to get lost inside it. Instead of attacking directly, it slowly makes its prey wander around until they become exhausted, and once they are too weak to escape, it eats them. When Hibiki hears that, he realizes just how close he came to dying. Amelia then suddenly hugs him and tells him that he did a really good job surviving for such a young boy. The reason she says that is because she thinks Hibiki is only around 10 years old. But when Hibiki tells her that he is actually 16, Amelia quickly lets go of him in shock. She says she had no idea someone his age could have such a small body. Soon after that, night falls and the two of them set up camp. While talking together, Hibiki learns that in this world, people are considered adults once they turn 15. Later, they cook the horned rabbit and eat it for dinner. After finishing the meal, Hibiki asks Amelia where they are right now. The moment she hears that question, she accidentally spits her tea all over his face. Amelia quickly apologizes and wipes his face clean. Then she explains that they are currently in the kingdom of Hibraya. Hibiki tells her that the name means nothing to him because he comes from Japan. However, Amelia has never heard of Japan before. That is when Hibiki becomes completely certain that he is truly in another world. Amelia notices that Hibiki looks sad and lonely, being so far away from home. So she kindly tells him that tomorrow she will take him to the city. Hibiki feels relieved and grateful after hearing that. Later that night, while Hibiki is sleeping, Amelia quietly watches over him. As she looks at him, she starts thinking that maybe Hibiki is the precious thing the spirit voice was leading her toward. Not long after that, Amelia also falls asleep. While sleeping, Hibiki begins dreaming about his old life back on Earth. He remembers spending time with his three closest friends, Amain, Kaioyuko, and Tiki. The four of them are together at the diner where Amain works. These three friends are very important to Hibiki, but at the same time they never miss a chance to tease him for being so short, even though he is already 16 years old. After that, the dream changes and Hibiki remembers how he ended up in this world. It was the last day of school before summer vacation. He was about to enter his classroom when suddenly, a bright flash of light appeared. And the next moment, he found himself here. Hibiki suddenly wakes up from the dream. He checks his phone and starts wondering how worried his friends must be about him right now. Then he looks up into the sky and notices strange glowing green lights floating above them. The voice explains that they are part of a special barrier Amelia created. It is meant to protect the area and alert her if anything dangerous comes close. After hearing that, Hibiki fully accepts that magic really does exist in this world. And that means he truly has been transported somewhere else. Since he still has many questions, Hibiki asks the voice what his job, appraiser provisional, actually means. The voice explains that it is a special role given to him by God. It has a rarity rank of B. The job gives him the appraisal skill, which allows him to see the abilities, traits, and information of other people or creatures. However, it does not provide him with any combat skills. Because of that, it is considered a non-combat class. Hibiki is still struggling to understand everything that has happened to him, so instead of thinking too much about it, he decides to go back to sleep. The next morning, Amelia wakes up first. She quietly thinks back to how she found Hibiki, saved him, and ended up spending the night out there with him. Not long after that, Hibiki wakes up too. The two of them then leave camp and start heading toward Lel, which is the nearest town. As they travel through the forest, Amelia tells him that it will take around a day and a half to get there. She also warns him that monsters live in the area. However, she tells him not to worry because she will protect him if anything attacks. While walking, Hibiki notices monsters nearby through his skill. Amelia is surprised that he can even sense them. Hibiki explains that it is all because of his world map skill. The moment Amelia hears that, she becomes completely shocked. She tells him that world map is an extremely rare skill with a AAA rarity rank. But when Hibiki explains that his job is appraiser provisional, Amelia does not seem impressed at all. To her, appraisal sounds like a weak support class. Hibiki also does not understand why world map is considered such a big deal. To him it only shows where he has already been, and whether monsters are close by. Amelia is stunned by how casually he talks about it. She explains that being able to track monsters and safely navigate dangerous areas is incredibly valuable. For adventurers, that kind of skill can easily mean the difference between life and death. A little later, Hibiki opens his world map again, and checks if there is anything dangerous nearby. The map shows that a crystal horned rabbit is close to them. The moment Amelia hears that, her eyes light up. She explains that crystal horned rabbits are extremely rare. If they manage to catch one, it can sell for around 200 gold coins. Right away, Amelia grabs Hibiki and excitedly tells him to lead her straight to it. The two of them carefully follow the rabbit from a distance. Amelia then uses magic to hide their sound and smell so the rabbit will not notice them. Hibiki is amazed when he sees this. He tells Amelia that she is incredible, but Amelia immediately tells him that he is the amazing one because of his world map skill. She explains that any adventurer party would be lucky to have someone like him. Since Appraisal is a support class, he would not have to fight directly on the front lines. Instead, he could stay in the back and support everyone else. Deep down, Amelia really wants to ask Hibiki to form a party with her. But she does not want to seem desperate, so instead, she decides to show him how capable she is and hopes he will ask her himself. Amelia takes out her bow and gets ready to fire. But Hibiki notices something strange. She does not have any arrows. Amelia then explains that her class is Spirit Archer. Because of that, she can create arrows out of wind itself. A moment later, she fires a spirit arrow toward the rabbit. However, the crystal-horned rabbit dodges at the very last second. Amelia is shocked because she did not expect it to escape. She then explains that crystal-horned rabbits have a special escape skill that lets them dodge attacks at incredible speed. At that point, she thinks there is no way they can catch it anymore. But then Hibiki suddenly gets an idea. He remembers from his appraisal that the rabbit cannot use its escape skill while attacking. So he decides that if he can lure the rabbit toward himself, Amelia will get a perfect shot. Amelia is not fully convinced by the idea because it sounds too simple, but Hibiki tells her not to worry. After all, when he appraised the rabbit, he learned that it is not very smart. Soon after that, the rabbit suddenly sees a rock wall appear in front of it. The wall blocks its path and startles it. Then it notices Hibiki sitting on a rock nearby. The rabbit immediately takes the bait and rushes toward him without thinking. The moment it jumps to attack, Amelia fires another spirit arrow. This time the shot lands perfectly and kills the rabbit instantly. Amelia is honestly surprised that Hibiki's plan actually worked. In the end, all they had to do was block off the rabbit's escape routes and force it toward him. Although at the same time, it also showed that the rabbit saw Hibiki as completely harmless. Right after that, the voice informs Hibiki that some of his skills have leveled up. Hibiki gets confused because Amelia was the one who actually killed the rabbit. But Amelia explains that he still played an important role. He used appraisal the whole time, made the plan, and even risked himself by acting as bait. Because of that, he earned the level up fairly. Meanwhile, far above them in heaven, the god who brought Hibiki into this world watches everything. The god is happy with how Hibiki is doing so far. However, he reminds himself that this is still only the tutorial phase. That means Hibiki still has a very long journey ahead of him. After that, the scene changes to the Adventure Guild. A girl named Evil has just finished registering herself as an adventurer. The receptionist tells her to check the job board for work, but Evil says she already has her first quest. She says she is searching for something very special. The scene shifts to a new location. Amelia brings Hibiki to a city called Ruel. She immediately notices that his clothes stand out too much, so she lends him something more suitable. She also advises him to sell his horn and use the money to buy proper gear like clothes, weapons, and armor. Hibiki, still unfamiliar with this world, asks a simple question: how much is one gold coin worth? At that moment, a system-like voice responds. It tells him that one gold coin is equal to around 10,000 yen. Hearing this, Hibiki is shocked. Now he understands why people react so strongly to money here. Amelia warns him seriously. In this world, acting clueless is dangerous. If he says the wrong thing or looks inexperienced, bad people might try to take advantage of him. Hibiki quickly agrees, realizing he needs to be careful. Soon, they arrive at an adventurers guild. Inside, a group of rough-looking adventurers notice Hibiki and start making sarcastic comments. They question whether he's really capable or just someone being looked after. Amelia calmly replies that Hibiki is actually an adult, even if he doesn't look like it. Hibiki stays polite and doesn't react much to their attitude. Before leaving, the group tells him to do his best. We learn they are a party known as Silver Banner. Inside the guild, Amelia approaches a staff member named Jewel and asks for a private room to sell some materials. They are guided to another room without delay. A large muscular man is shown. He introduces himself as Balsdaria, the guild master. His strong appearance immediately stands out. Hibiki politely introduces himself, but the mood quickly turns a bit funny. He becomes curious about Balsdaria's muscles and asks if he can touch them. Surprisingly, the guildmaster agrees without hesitation. Hibiki is impressed. He admits that his own body is small and he struggles to build muscle no matter how much he trains. Balsdaria gives him simple advice. If he wants to look bigger, he should focus on training his back, since it has the most muscle mass and makes the biggest difference. Right after this, something unexpected happens. Amelia and Jule splash cold water on them. A system notification appears, showing that Hibiki has gained new abilities. He learns water magic skills like Water Create and Cold Water. After that, we see them sitting. Julie introduces herself. Her name is Julie, and she works as both a receptionist and the vice guild master. Now, the main purpose of the visit is revealed. Amelia presents the item she wants to sell. The moment it appears, the atmosphere changes. The item is extremely large and clearly valuable. Balzadaria says it is larger than that 3 years ago. Balzadaria carefully looks at it and thinks for a moment. He offers a price of 400 gold coins. The offered price is already high, but Amelia is not satisfied at all. She immediately pushes back, saying the value is far greater. She reminds them that a similar item from 3 years ago was sold for over 230 gold coins, and this one is clearly much bigger and better. She confidently demands a much higher price. The guildmaster, Balzadaria, looks slightly troubled. He knows she's right, but the amount she's asking is very difficult for the guild to pay. Still, the two begin going back and forth, raising and lowering the price, step by step. The numbers keep climbing, 550, 600, 650. Finally, after a tense exchange, they reach an agreement at 700 gold coins. It's a huge amount, even more than expected. But right after that, a funny moment happens. Jewel, the vice guild master, calmly says that the guild is actually going over budget, and the extra cost will be taken out of Balzdaria's salary. Hearing this, it becomes clear that the guild master made the deal without thinking too much. Still, Amelia is very happy. She feels like she won the negotiation perfectly. With this success, she believes something important will happen next, that Hibiki might finally decide to join her party. After that, Amelia and the staff begin handling the formal procedures, so Hibiki and Balzdaria are asked to wait outside. While waiting, something unexpected happens again. A system message appears in Hibiki's mind. His unique skill, Tutorial Level 1, has leveled up. Confused, Hibiki wonders what this tutorial skill actually means. The answer shocks him. This skill is given to people with a low chance of survival, a kind of support from a god. It provides knowledge and techniques to help him survive in this world. Hibiki is surprised but also relieved. He realizes that maybe he has been protected all along. Then suddenly, something even stranger happens. A voice speaks to him directly. The voice casually introduces itself as a god who is supporting him. Hibiki is shocked. He didn't expect to actually talk to a god. The god explains that they can't always communicate, but they will help him when possible. However, Hibiki is still responsible for protecting himself and staying alive. Hibiki has many questions, but before he can ask them, the system interrupts again. It announces that, because his tutorial skill has leveled up, the guide's support will now end. Just like that, the presence disappears. Hibiki is left confused, wondering what just happened. A little later, Amelia returns. Julie gives her a letter. Amelia has received a direct request from her hometown, and it's something she cannot refuse. She needs to leave the city immediately. Because of that, she cannot take Hibiki with her. While wallicking outside, Hibiki realizes something. She was like a guide for him in this new world, and now that support is suddenly gone. Amelia looks worried, but Hibiki tries to reassure her. He tells her not to worry and says he will be fine on his own. He doesn't want to cause her more trouble. When Amelia asks about his plans, Hibiki says he wants to try becoming an adventurer. Even if he's not strong in combat yet, there are still simple jobs he can take. Amelia nods, but she still warns him to be careful. Before leaving, she gives him a few important things. First, she offers him a place to stay, the inn where she was living. Then, she hands him a map and tells him to visit a place called the Smiling Goddess Residence. She also promises something important. If Hibiki travels far away, he should inform Julim, and she will come to see him. Hibiki is surprised and a little happy to hear that. As they prepare to part ways, Hibiki tries to return something he borrowed from her. But Amelia stops him. She tells him to keep it. It's a gift, a small token to support him on his journey. And just like that, the two say goodbye. Hibiki is now truly on his own in this new world, ready to begin his journey as an adventurer. While going in a hurry, Amelia collides with someone. A girl named Evile has just finished registering herself as an adventurer. Amelia apologizes and says she is in a hurry to go to her hometown, the elf country called Fairnault Kingdom. The girl mentions that she is also heading in that direction. After Amelia leaves, Hibiki spends most of his time sleeping. He sees his phone's battery is dead, and even now, he still hasn't found a way to return to his original world. He also realizes something disappointing. Since that one moment, the god has not spoken to him again. Hibiki tries asking around at the guild, but he can't openly say he's from another world. It would sound suspicious, so he keeps it to himself. Feeling confused and a little lost, Hibiki begins to quietly question everything. Why did he come to this world? What is he supposed to do here? While he is thinking about all this, someone knocks on his door. It's Tanya, the woman from the place he's staying. She says she came to check on him because he hasn't come out all day. Hibiki reassures her that he's okay, and she tells him dinner is almost ready. He says I will come. Later, Hibiki starts thinking about money. The reward from selling the horn was huge, but he knows he can't rely on it forever. If he wants to survive, he needs to work and earn his own way. so he decides to check his abilities. When he opens his status, he notices something interesting. He sees new skills like contract and medical book. He becomes curious about the medical skill and checks its explanation. The system tells him something amazing. Just by reading the medical book, he can instantly learn all the knowledge inside it. But there's a condition. If he starts reading, he cannot stop halfway, and it will take a long time. Hibiki hesitates for a moment, but then decides to go for it. He chooses to read the entire medical book. As soon as he starts, the experience becomes overwhelming. The amount of information is massive, and it feels difficult to handle. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Amelia. Soon after, Amelia arrives back in her homeland. A maid named Stelia welcomes her. She is someone close to Amelia. Amelia introduces Ival to Stelia, and Ival explains that they are traveling together as a party. Then, the story returns to Hibiki. After a long and exhausting process, he has successfully learned the entire medical book. Hibiki feels relieved. It was difficult, but now he has gained a huge amount of knowledge. After that, while walking outside, Hibiki feels grateful and thanks the system that has been helping him all this time. Then he smiles a little and says the name status support is too long, so he decides to give it a nickname, Sapo-chan. The system accepts the new name and agrees to continue supporting him. A short while later, while Hibiki is in the guild, suddenly, a loud urgent voice calls for help. Someone is badly injured. They mention that if the guildmaster Balsdaria were here, he might have been able to help, but Jula says unfortunately he is not in the city. At that moment, Hibiki steps forward. He remembers his medical book skill and wonders if he can do something. Hibiki asks for permission to examine the injured person. At first, people doubt him. They say he's just an appraiser, not a healer. But Hibiki insists. He explains that he has medical knowledge and wants to try. They finally agree. Hibiki activates his skill. The diagnosis begins instantly. The result is shocking. The system detects a deadly poison called diarrhea poison inside the body. This poison prevents blood from clotting, which is why the bleeding won't stop. The situation is critical. The person only has 5 minutes left to live. Hibiki quickly checks the treatment method. For that, 2 powerful skills are required, Hypercure and Perfect Heal. But there's a problem. The required magic power is 60-50 MP. Hibiki only has 56 MP. For a moment, he feels helpless. Time keeps running out. 4 minutes left. Hibiki starts to panic. Then Sapo-chan gives him an idea. There is another skill he can use, Contract. With this skill, he can borrow MP from others. If people agree, they can temporarily give him their MP, meaning magic power. Hibiki immediately shouts to everyone. He asks them to make a contract with him and lend him their MP. At first, people hesitate. It sounds risky and unclear, but Hibiki doesn't stop. He raises his voice and says that if he gets enough MP, he can save the person. By hearing this, one by one, people agree. Even more people join. The contract expands. Suddenly, a large amount of MP flows into Hibiki. The total finally reaches the required level. Without hesitation, Hibiki activates the first skill, Hypercure. The poison is removed. After that, he uses the second skill, Perfect Heal. A powerful light surrounds the injured person. The damage begins to disappear. The lost parts of the body regenerate. The person is saved. The person's name is Jade. After this, Hibiki falls to the ground and goes into his dream, where Amon reminds him of past moments, like when he saved a drowning dog, or helped a kitten stuck on a roof. Each time he rushed in alone without thinking about the danger. She warns him seriously. Not every situation will end well like this. Hibiki listens quietly and nods. He understands what she means. Right after that, system notifications suddenly appear. His appraisal skill levels up rapidly, jumping from level 2 to level 5. His contract skill also levels up, and even his translation skill improves. All of this happens at once, showing how big this moment was for him. Then Hibiki suddenly collapses from exhaustion. When he wakes up, he finds himself resting with people around him looking relieved. Jula speaks to him gently. She thanks him for saving her younger brother Jade. Hibiki humbly responds. He says he didn't do it alone. Everyone helped by giving their MP, but she shakes her head and tells him that none of it would have happened without him. She asks him to accept her gratitude. Hibiki finally agrees, but then her expression becomes serious. She explains something very important. Everyone who witnessed what happened has been ordered to keep it a secret. Hibiki is confused at first, so she explains, the skills he used, Hypercure and Perfect Heal, are extremely rare. Almost no one can use them. If word spreads, dangerous people might try to use him for money or power. Hearing this, Hibiki starts to understand the risk. She then gives him advice. It would be safer for him to join an adventurer party who can protect him. But Hibiki hesitates. He says he doesn't know how long he will stay in this city, and he doesn't want to cause trouble for others. Still, he admits something. Since he is not a combat type, having protection might be necessary. Shankai smiles slightly and suggests another option. If he doesn't want to join a party, he can hire a bodyguard. Right after that, a strong and intense-looking man appears, loudly declaring that he will protect Hibiki and destroy anyone who gets close. The situation becomes a bit chaotic and almost funny, and with that, the episode ends.